You are listening to Unstoppable Actors, the essential podcast for ambitious, aspiring actors with me. I'm Louise, the founder of Standby Method Acting Studio, and every week I'll be talking with you and sharing how you can become a paid, working, unstoppable actor. Because you can. An acting career is doable. Are you ready? I am so excited to introduce you to today's guest. It is the wonderful Luke Goddard, and Luke has got an amazing story to share with you. But before he shares that with you, I just want to tell you that he won the Best Male Lead Award over at Sydney Film Festival. He's been in ITV's Victoria. He's done a stage tour where he performed at the Lawrence Batley Theatre in Huddersfield, Harrogate Theatre, Hope Mill in Manchester, and it should also be moving on to the Lowry Theatre in Salford. And you've also just recently signed with an agent who was formerly of Hubbard Casting, and yet you have had zero conventional training. And what I mean by that is the typical drama school training. I am so excited for you to be speaking, or not speaking to, but listening to Luke Goddard's story. I am 1,000% sure this is going to inspire you millions and millions, and you're going to want to take loads of action after this. So hello, Luke. It's nice to be talking to you.
Hello, Louise. Thank you for the introduction.
Yeah, well, firstly, I would like you to share with our listeners a little bit about your background, because you didn't always want to be an actor, did you?
I never thought it was going to be my natural calling. I was brought up in Barnsley in South Yorkshire, which is, for not them people that don't know, is an incredibly working class town, former industrial town. And my background was sports. I played football, cricket, anything athletic, all my family from a sporting background. And when I was at school, that's all I thought I was ever going to do, either be a PE teacher or be a fireman or go into the police or go into the army, something like that. And never thought that acting would be something that I would be pursuing now, and something that I've done for the last nearly decade, which is crazy. And yeah, I'm just from a really working class family, you know, single kid. That is really my background.
Wow. So literally nothing to do with acting.
Before, no. My first experience of acting in any form was, I would say, properly when I was 14. Didn't even study drama at school. It was something that was an option at school, but I never thought to take. And I think I was year 9 in summer. My form tutor just said there's a summer school going on, and I only lived 2 minutes away from the school. So I thought, well, you know, I may as well go there and socialise, but I never thought that I would get the acting bug. And as soon as I walked through that room for 2 weeks, it was just fantastic the way I just seemed to get the bug straight away. Just creatively, something seemed to stir inside of me. And for some reason, I just seemed to bow to peer pressure and not pursue it afterwards. And then didn't really find acting again until I was 18. Maybe was forced into those circumstances. But yeah, until I was 14, I had no experience of acting whatsoever. And only for them 2 weeks, that is all I did. You know, acting creatively wise. And then just obviously until I was 18, then I decided to pursue it afterwards.
That's incredibly inspiring, because our listeners, I know there's going to be a lot of them listening right now who, you know, have probably wanted to be an actor and not acted, excuse the pun, upon it, or they've been brought up in similar circumstances to yourself, like maybe from a working class town or city, and acting's not really the done thing. So you did this summer school then, and you said it wasn't until you was 18 that you picked acting back up. So what were you doing in those 4 years then, from that summer school age 14 to 18?
Well, I was studying to do my GCSEs, but I didn't really have any direction as where I wanted to go. Didn't really have any clear path. Like a lot of my friends knew that they wanted to go to university to study to be a PE teacher, or they wanted to go travelling, you know, or to be, you know, go in the fire service, or just, you know, I didn't know. And so I was just studying, obviously, you know, for my GCSEs to get decent grades. But up until that time, I didn't have any clear direction. So I went to college, just following the, you know, the traditional line of, you know, studying sports to do sports coaching. But again, I didn't enjoy it. I didn't find any pure love for it. The social side of it, having friends from school who were on the same course, was obviously nice. but didn't really feel anything inside, didn't enjoy it. I was just doing it for the sake of it, and I didn't really have any direction. After I left college, I luckily found a job straight away for the first 6 or 7 months. So I worked there, which was at the college itself, like looking after students that were not doing well with the grades, helping them to get volunteer placements out in community, whether they wanted to do, for instance, animal care. I'd help them get placements on a farm. That was the job that I did. But again, I didn't enjoy it. The people that I worked with, I didn't seem to get on with, and I just didn't feel it was right. I just seemed to be doing it for the sake of it and doing it because other people wanted me to do that job rather than myself actually doing it because I wanted to do it like from my soul.
So how did you get into acting then? So you've done this 2-week summer school, and then you've gone to, you've studied at college, and then you've started working at college. How did acting come around? Because it doesn't seem like it was something that was really prominent in your life.
Well, like I said to you, I feel that I had a void. I didn't really have any direction, and there was always something that I felt that would be a definitive moment in my life that would be like a crossroads of which decision do I take. And I lost my job after 6 or 7 months at the college. I was made redundant, and I had the option to go travelling. I could have gone travelling. I could have gone to university because I had the grades to do so from college. But again, didn't want to do any of those. And I felt in the back of my mind, I remembered the acting when I was in year 9 or 10 when I was at home one day. Unfortunately, I was on the dole, so I was looking for another job just to get me by financially. But I didn't want to be doing a 9-to-5 job, like I've said earlier. So I just started looking for acting classes in Sheffield, which is obviously the biggest city, closest to where I'm from in Barnsley. And just found Standby, and I felt that if this is the time to really commit to something 100%, I've got plenty of time on my hands because I'm not working currently, so I can commit to it fully. And I want to do something for myself for the first time in my life that I'm fully committed to and I fully want to do rather than doing what other people think I should be doing or what pleases others. And so that's what I did. I felt, you know what, I'm going to do it. And if it's not for me, then obviously, then at least I've given it a go, rather than just what if that would always be lingering in my head if I didn't do it at all.
That is so incredibly inspiring. I really love that, because there are so many people who want to be actors and they just don't do it because they're really terrified about what other people think, and also as well the financial side of it as well. So I love that you found yourself in this position where financially you probably weren't at your greatest, but you thought, sod it anyway, and let's just pursue this thing that I knew I loved back when I was 14. So you've lost the job. That was the catalyst then to start the acting training. And how was it? Like, you'd only done this 2-week summer course, and now you're at Standby and you're training in the method, and it's a professional level of training. So you've gone to no experience to being thrown right in at the deep end. How was that?
Well, it was really hard, and obviously every week is hard. It's not easy, but I enjoyed the challenge. That is something that I always feel like I need is a challenge to really get me going, regardless of what area it is. And so I found it incredibly challenging, but also really enjoyable as well. And so the more challenging it was, the better. And I didn't want to just go to a studio that would just be, the same thing every week. And that is, even now after how long I've been training, every class is different. And so even back then, every class was different, but I was also learning about myself as well. So it was incredibly, I know it shouldn't be therapeutic, but it was, I was learning to find out who I was as a person. And I think that was incredibly important for where I am now, back compared to back then, because I was still, mending myself after losing my first real job and being broke and having nothing to my name. It was incredibly character building time, and I found a lot of resilience in that time. So I suppose that is how I found it. It was worth the challenge compared to just not doing anything at all.
And so obviously you've got an incredible CV behind you, considering that you've not been to a traditional drama school. So what did you do to get started first of all then? So you've started the training. How long did it take you into training to start getting acting work? What were the first steps that you took to start getting acting work? And when did you know that you were ready for it?
Well, I suppose everyone is different. Myself, I started to look for jobs after around 4 or 5 months, I would say. First of all, I just wanted to build a base, build my confidence, get a base from training. Obviously, I was working with yourself, you were teaching me, and obviously still are. So I would obviously get advice off yourself as to, am I ready? And I knew that I weren't going to get into TV or, paid for you to work straight away. That's just the way there is. I weren't expecting that. I was just wanting experience. So I just started looking on casting websites. I contacted somebody that I knew at the time that did photography, so just got some basic headshots. Started to apply for plays locally around South Yorkshire area, and also student films as well. Even though I knew it wasn't my long-term goal, I kind of figured it out in my head, the process that I needed to take to get to where I wanted to get. And it was like I really see it as a bit of a puzzle, like really putting the pieces together. Once I get into one area, then I get onto the next bit. And small, concise, short steps I found for me personally was the way to do it, rather than looking massively into this is where I want to get to straight away. I knew that realistically, if I did that, then if I didn't get to that goal, I'd maybe probably disappoint myself and end up, shortfalling. So I felt if I keep it nice and simple for myself, that I can achieve these goals that are realistic at the time and build up to a point that slowly but surely it starts to get more realistic and ambitious, then that is how I personally did it. And it worked, thankfully. And that's how I started. But it was, character building still at the time.
I really love, though, that you've taken a big goal and you've broken it down into little pieces, because I just see so many actors or aspiring actors, that, they come to a few classes and then they want things straight away. Like they wanted everything to happen or have happened yesterday, and it just doesn't work like that. So the fact that you've taken this big goal and broken it down into little pieces to build the puzzle back up into that big full picture again, you've sort of like reverse engineered it. So you've seen the big goal, this is what I want to achieve. You've taken the pieces apart and gone, right, these are the little things that I need to do as the stepping stones to start getting me towards that bigger picture. And then the bigger picture will eventually, when the time is right and with hard work and staying committed, will all come back together. So I think that's really inspiring. And I think that's something that our listeners can take away, is that it is little pieces. You've got to work on the little pieces of the puzzle to get it all together. So you started doing these student films, plays, independent films, started moving on to those as well?
Yeah, started to move on in independent films, that obviously production companies that I had a kind of a goal in my head of people that I wanted to work with from the start. So ambitious, driven, people that I felt were going to, open up opportunities for myself. I really made it, wanted to make sure that I left everything either on that set or on that stage in terms of just being myself. And, that worked in terms of getting other opportunities from word of mouth, which funnily enough is the most work that I've gone from is other people recommending me. And really just learning how to be, how to be an actor around set, how to be professional. And independent films were a massive step up from the student films, in my opinion, in terms of calibre of work, the scripts. I mean, there's some people that I've done student films with before that have gone on to do some great things. So I'm not saying that student films aren't the be all and end all, but I feel at some point you have to move on to that next step. And I felt I didn't do it straight away, but there was a time that I committed to myself to, I'm not going to do any unpaid work anymore. I'm just going to do paid work and apply for that, because I wanted to respect myself. And there were a few situations that came across that I didn't feel I really got the respect I felt that I could have got. And so I felt that, I need to respect myself first for people to respect me in return. And so that's the commitment I made to myself, to have integrity. And when I was applying for jobs, it was only going to be for paid jobs, because I wanted to work with the best kind of people possible. So that was the independent side of things, definitely, yeah.
So you took that step up to independent work. And I mean, you have been training at Standby for, well, it's got to be coming on nearly 10 years.
9.5 years, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Standby first started in October 2010. So yeah, 9.5 years. And you have trained week in, week out. And I think there's been 3 classes that you've missed. Maybe 3 or 4.
Yeah, probably either due to filming that I couldn't, the other side of the country, I think was last July. I think there was a full week that I was filming. I think there was one time due to illness. Rest of the time, I think, attended every week.
Why? Why have you been training for this amount of time?
Well, I think hard work pays off, and it's a really simple motto, but it is true. The best actors that are out there haven't got to where they are by luck. They do it due to persistence and due to discipline. And successful people in general, regardless of the business, whatever sphere it is in, if you do something repetitively over and over again, you will find a success formula in the end. And that is something that I looked at from other actors that I really aspired to be like or looked up to when I first started. But also other people as well, like entrepreneurs, footballers, sportsmen that have really followed that path of doing things over and over again and, really giving everything, making sure that every part of your life is catered towards being to where you want to get to. And so that is the reason why I do it. And plus I love it as well. I love training. It's, it makes me feel free. It makes me feel creative. It's a great place to explore and just really find out more about myself. And also, the characters that you portray, I find it a luxury to do and really a great opportunity just to play over people that you've never met before. I find that really like a fantastic scenario.
I think that is so exciting because you can tell that you are just so passionate about training, which at Standby, we totally believe that get the craft down first for long-term success. That's one of our massive mottos. And the other thing is as well, what I just want to pick up on what you just said is like persistence, repetition. Repetition is the mother of success. You don't know when that success is going to happen, but if you just keep repeating and repeating and repeating, proven things that have worked for other actors, it's just common sense that it is going to happen. Things will fall into place.
100%.
So would you say that's why things have fallen into place for you? I mean, I know you're probably not where you want to be, but you're definitely on the way to that.
I mean, there's been times where I feel like, it's just round the corner. And then with this Corona was definitely one that I felt I was getting into a good rhythm. And then obviously this came about and that was really frustrating. But looking in perspective, to get to where I wanted to be was the persistence, like you said. And I feel that with the training that I've done and with the training that I've done with yourself has really put me into a good place to really reflect as well. So it's, the training is massive for me. And obviously we've been training throughout the lockdown. So it has been something that, again, I've took pride that I'm going to be ahead of people that's in my casting category when the industry starts to get going again, because it is going to, that's the way of the world. And I want to be making sure that I'm that person that's ready in that audition room. And, casting directors will only give you one chance. And that's the way I've approached it throughout.
Well, it's interesting because I want to pick up on this thing about lockdown, because you, during lockdown, have had a lot of auditions. You were offered representation by 2 different agents.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of aspiring actors and jobbing actors who completely lost motivation during lockdown. And there's absolutely no hate on those people at all. It's affected everybody differently. But for you, it seems to have given you more motivation. I don't know, will you talk about that to our listeners?
Yeah, of course. Well, when the lockdown first hit, I noticed that there was people that really embracing it and really took time to really maybe have a bit of a detox from the world and really reassess and reflect on what's going on in their life. So when it kicks off again, they're in a better place. Or people that really just, especially in the industry, were people that really I'm never going to get a job again. And I really wanted to go into that first category and be, what's working, what isn't working, where can I improve upon, what formula is working for me. And so I found it a real good time to really improve on my skill set and a time just to really reconnect with the world again and reconnect with myself. And there's obviously some days that's been really tough due to what's going on, but overall I found it a fantastic time. And I felt that I wanted to be ahead of the rest of the people in the industry, like I said to you earlier, in that casting category that wanted to get to where I want to get to. And I felt, well, the agents are not going to be doing anything. They're going to be like all the actors. They're going to be sat at home. Their offices are closed. They can't go to work. They're going to be on the laptops all day.
I love this.
If there is a better time to contact them, and to send your work in, is now. Because obviously a lot of the time you send emails in if you wanted to look for different agents and you never, because, they've obviously got to look after their own clients first. But if their own clients are not working, if their own clients are sat at home, they've got time to look through work. And even if it's a no, which I did get, obviously, which is just part and parcel of the industry, that, at least I was putting the feelers out there. I felt it was a perfect time to move on from the agent I had at that time. And luckily 2 agents got in touch with me. I had the fortune of speaking to 2 agents, which I'm really grateful of. Obviously moved on to 1 agent, and that formula, it worked. And I knew, sometimes you've got to go with your intuition. I felt at that time, I knew that was a good time to move, and luckily it worked. And luckily people did see my work, and I did get a lot of responses, even if it wasn't fantastic, even if it wasn't positive. I connected in the meetings with 2 agents that have got really good reputations in the industry for different reasons. So that's the way I approached it, was that mindset from the start.
Some little nuggets there as well for our listeners. Intuitively seizing opportunities.
Yeah.
I really believe that you have to listen to your intuition, not force things, because I think when you force things, it just doesn't work. You repel what it is that you're after. But intuitively following that internal guidance system and seeing those opportunities and acting upon them, that's what's needed to become a successful actor, as well as all the other stuff as well, like training, consistency, discipline when you're not feeling motivated. So let's talk about this award that you won then. So you won the Best Male Lead Award at Sydney Film Festival. Were you expecting to win that? Did you even know you were going to be nominated? How did it come about?
Neither. Originally, we shot the film in Worcestershire. Our father, we shot that the year before in the summer. And I think it was February, March time. I knew that the film was going around festivals and doing generally well. We were getting regular updates, but I didn't ever think that myself or, we were being put forward for it in terms of actors. We just thought it was for like editing or sound or best lighting and all that, the behind the scenes side of things. But I felt that the film would do well in that aspect. And I got an email off Callum, the director, saying, I'm just letting you know that you've been nominated for Best Male Lead for the film. I was like, what? Couldn't believe it. And I was just really pleased more than anything. It wasn't about even winning the award, was people just appreciating the hard work that I put into the preparation for on that side of things, because I put a lot of prep into that role, and the people that worked with me on that cast, I also felt it reflected their work as well, because as an ensemble, I felt that was a real good group piece. We had a really good cast, and they made it just as much as I did a success as much as it has been for the production value that it was worth. Going back to the day itself, the director said, "Oh, I think it's going to be you're going to get an email tomorrow. I'm going to let you know either way." And I got an email.
To win?
No, not at all. I'm always quite a hard critic on myself, so I just thought, well, at least I've been nominated. That's a fantastic thing in itself. I just tried to take the positives out of that. And even if I didn't win the award, like I said to you, it wasn't about that. And I doubted I was going to win it. I was like, the people are going to win it from Australia. That's obviously at the event itself. I'm the other side of the world. Nobody knows who I am. I just started seeing like my name on social media at the Sydney Film Festival, like my photo from the film, and an email. Obviously, they're like the other side of the world, so they're ahead of us in terms of time. And I got an email off Callum, the director, saying, "You've won it. Congratulations! I'm sending the award to you through the post."
So there was no acceptance speech then?
No, there wasn't. I said, "Well, why didn't you let me know?" And then I could have flown over. I said, and then he said, "Oh, we didn't even know ourselves. We've only just got an email off the film festival's organisers themselves this weekend about other categories." So that's how I found out, and that's how I won it. And it just really blew me away, to be honest with you. I just couldn't believe it. I'm quite a humble person, so I just couldn't really believe it for like a week. I was really taken away by it all.
And do you think winning that award has had a positive impact on your career? Has that opened some doors for you that might have been closed prior to that?
Yeah, I think so. I think people take me more seriously now and think they respect me more, which I really appreciate. But at the same time, I don't want it to, I always think it's two sides. I want them to respect me regardless if I won the award or not. So, but in terms of, has it opened doors? Definitely. I think people have taken me more seriously and think, well, he definitely has the ability and has potential to get far in terms of jobs wise, in terms of work, and also in terms of, like I said, the agent side of things, which is massive for all actors, is to get an agent that they feel that they want to work with for the long term. It's really gave me more, I would say, bargaining power compared to before. I feel like I have more to offer to them, but also they can offer to me. Like, I feel I can use that as a good way to introduce myself, when you're doing the business side of things. So definitely, yeah.
Well, it's a third party endorsement, isn't it? It's somebody else saying that you're good, you're worthy, you're talented, without you actually having to say it yourself, because they want you for that. I mean, that film has been viewed globally, hasn't it? I think, is it 500,000? It's got 500,000 views.
Yeah, the film itself online's 500,000, and the trailers, I think it's like 2.1 million.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so the trailer initially got 2.1 million, and the film itself was released into festivals, and then after a while it got released online. I think it was 2 years ago. It's got 500,000 views, which is, I can't even, people are seeing me for the first time, and even then it blows me away. Some of the comments I read, like all positive. I would say vast majority of it, 95% of it's all positive, and you're going to get your critics, but stop the critics, just work on yourself.
And that's amazing to say. You've come from, Barnsley, not to say people aren't successful from Barnsley, but you've come from there, the working class town. You definitely had your doubts over whether people thought acting was going to be a good career choice or not. And you've really just proven them all wrong. But I want to go to the flip side of this then, because you have trained, as we've already said, you've trained week in, week out, 9.5 years, apart from those 3 or 4 classes due to work. But you haven't been to a traditional drama school. Do you think that's posed any challenges for you in your pursuit of whatever success is for you?
In terms of people judging me, yes. Especially from the craft side, no, because I think I'm more prepared than other actors are who spend 3 years in drama school, learn a certain way, what the tutor expects them to learn, and then they leave drama school having no experience of the industry. A lot of those people in drama schools cannot do work outside of it. They have to stay in that drama school, so regardless of what opportunities come their way. And so I felt in terms of business-wise, no. I felt that I was more prepared, and I didn't. But in terms of the judgments that you get, definitely 100%.
What sort of judgments are you referring to then? Are you referring to the fact that you don't have like RADA or Central on your CV?
Yeah, I think there's a certain snobbery from agents, casting directors. They won't admit it, and this is the thing that I'm not going to swear, because obviously this is the thing that really gets my goat up, is that they'll not admit it, but it does have an impact. And RADA and Guildhall and Lambda, regardless of how good the actor is, it's if it says the name, that then they seem to take them more seriously than an actor they don't know how I train every week more or less for 9.5 years. They don't know how committed I am. They just see the name and they just judge straight away. And also my background as well, like you said earlier, being from a working class town, the accent that I've got, a Northern Yorkshire accent. I think people are quick to put you in a little box and want to keep you there, which I understand. But then I also think I find it really frustrating as well. And there's so many topics that are out there that need to be spoken about, and I just think they don't get spoken about, and people run away from them. And that's something that hopefully over the years, the more successful I hope to get, that's something that I want to raise and be an inspiration to others from my area, other people that want to dream, that they can do anything that put their minds to. It doesn't matter where you're from. It should be how people should get opportunities regardless of their class status or anything like that.
You're proof, though, that despite all of that, an acting career is doable. And you're also proof of our motto at Standby, that you don't need to go to drama school to become a professional actor. Obviously you do need high quality training, but you don't need to go down that conventional route. And you just absolutely prove that. And I think that's inspiring.
I would say it's empowered me more than anything, Louise, that it's really, I'm like, in a nice way, it's like, well, if you don't believe me, let my actions prove that I can get to where I want to get, regardless of where I am, where I've been, where I've trained. The training is just as good. It's even better in my opinion. I am biased. I'm obviously a big fan because I've trained there for 9.5 years. But you can get to where you want to go if it's don't let people get you down. And it is hard. You get constant rejections every single day without you ever knowing. But it's about really having that rhino skin, but also with a soft underbelly when it comes to the actor side of things.
That can be tough. You've got to have a tough skin and a vulnerable heart, as Amy Adams.
Of course you have.
If you could start over again then, looking back on your career, would you have done anything differently?
Yes, I would say not join. There's some agents that I've joined that I regret joining. Also being picky about the jobs that I've worked on, and learning to respect myself earlier than I did.
Yeah, I think that's so important. You've got to have that respect for yourself in a humble way, not in an aggressive way.
Yeah.
And just to go back to the beginning then, did your parents, did your family, did your friends, did they support you when you first said you wanted to be an actor?
No. I think that they wanted me to do well, but I think they were more fearful than anything. They were scared of, because I think as every parent would be, it's like, oh, where's he going to find his money, blah, blah, blah. And obviously the sacrifices I've made financially to make sure that I keep my career on track has been that I don't work in a 9 to 5. I work inconvenient hours, and so I understand that that's where there was the worry from, but not like the full on support. Like, we back you every step of the way. Wow, this is you're the first in our family to do this. I didn't get the support I expected or hoped from initially, but I would say over the last couple of years they definitely have been really supportive. But initially, no. And my friends, to be honest with you, because when I lost my job at the time, I didn't really have a social circle to speak of, if I'm brutally honest. So it was kind of just me. And I'm like, well, I'm going to be my own biggest fan. And so that's where you have to do that self-care and that self-love to really work through those demons to get to, where you are.
And I just want to pick up on something as well, because a massive fear of a lot of aspiring actors is that they're going to have to sacrifice so much that in pursuit of their acting dreams, they can't have their own home, they can't have their own car, they can't go on holidays, they're going to be so skint. Like, a lot of them have got this picture in their head of just being continuously broke, living hand to mouth. So I would just want to ask you, are you continuously broke, living hand to mouth? Have you had to sacrifice your own home and not have a car and all those sorts of, like day-to-day luxuries?
I think you can, personally, I've got a job that's full-time, so I'm still putting food on the table. As every actor knows, it is hard at times, but I've still got my own car. I can still make my way to auditions fine. I've got my own house. I've been living in it just over a year. I'm going on holiday later in the year. So you can still do things. It's how you work it. And it's like, if this is something you want to do, for the rest of your life, you will find ways to really work it out. And don't get me wrong, to start with, I was living off probably a tenner a week, 9-10 years ago, but the pain subsides, and the first stumbling blocks are character building stumbling blocks. You become a stronger person through that, and then when you get to, obviously I'm far from finished, but in terms of looking back 10 years, it's like I had to go through them periods of hardship to get to where I am now, and I wouldn't be the person I am now if I didn't have to go through where I went through it earlier on in my life. So you can do it, and I think this is the thing about society. People think that they've got to be conventional and stay with the norms, and that, don't follow the norms, follow what you want to do. If you want to do something different, do it. And as long as you're happy, as long as your soul and your heart feels fulfilled, and this is what I want to do, I feel alive on the stage, I feel alive training, I feel alive being an actor, then you're making the right decision.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more with you. And I think that's really, really inspiring. And, it is doable to balance it all as well. I mean, I don't believe that there ever is true balance.
No.
But you can still juggle it all, is what I'm trying to say. So we're going to end there then. I think this has been a brilliant interview. It's been really amazing chatting to you, and I think it's going to be so inspiring for our listeners. If you could leave them with one thought, what would that be?
Love yourself, and you can go as far as you want to go.
I love it. Yeah, absolutely. That is so amazing. Well, Luke, thank you so much. It's been absolutely brilliant talking to you. And we would just like to wish you absolutely all of the luck and success and fulfillment in the world with your acting career. And thank you so much for being on our Unstoppable Actors podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for your time. Thank you. Bye.
I have absolutely loved hanging out with you, and I really hope you enjoyed this episode of Unstoppable Actors, the essential podcast for ambitious, aspiring actors. Now, if you did, I'd really love you to subscribe so you never miss an episode, and leave a review. And if you would like weekly injections of inspiration, you'd like mini method acting challenges to keep you making progress with your dreams, come and join the most supportive acting community online by clicking the link in the notes to help you become an unstoppable actor.